It's new tonight. The Sebastian County Sheriff's Office is responding to video spreading across social media showing deputies hitting a man in the county jail. Sheriff says John Anthony Cole spread the video online after suing the sheriff's office, and the video is missing crucial context. Cole stabbed two deputies at the jail with a shank last year. He was in jail after investigators connected him to a murder. Well, the new video we're about to show you shows when deputies took Cole to the jail's medical unit moments after that stabbing. There is a box over Cole to protect his medical privacy, and we do warn you the video might be hard to watch. Sheriff Mike Conger says the redaction box hides the moment that Cole bit down on one of their hands. Conger says that is what prompted the use of force by those deputies. He says those deputies did what they had to do in that moment to keep everyone in the room safe.
Right before the deputies began striking him, Cole, the same man who moments earlier tried to murder two deputies, savagely bit down on the deputy's hand, and he wouldn't let go. Those strokes you see in the video, the deputy's trying to get the violent man to release his bite from another deputy's hand. That's what it is. And that's exactly what is hidden from your social media.
Conger says he stands behind his deputies, but has asked state police now to independently review the use of force. A news conference that had been set for tomorrow has been canceled because of the ongoing lawsuit and state police review. More information on the lawsuit that Cole has filed is on our website at 5newsonline.com. A judge is now deciding whether the city of Fayetteville properly responded to a Freedom of Information Act request tied to Swarm Arrow. 5 News reporter Taylor Howard tells us what happened in court today and why the debate followed residents into tonight's Fayetteville City Council meeting.
This all started with a Freedom of Information Act request filed by a Fayetteville resident about Swarm Arrow's proposed project in Fayetteville. Attorneys were in court Tuesday afternoon after Ted Swedenberg sued the city, arguing non-disclosure agreements tied to the drone manufacturing company should have been included in records he received through a FOIA request. His attorney says those agreements were communication between the city and the company.
If I send you an agreement and you look at it and you sign it saying that you agree to it and then you send it back to me, that's communication all day.
After getting records from the city, Swedenberg learned NDAs between the city and Swarm Arrow existed. Court records show emails discussing NDAs were included in the city's response. The agreements themselves were not.
We gave them a whole bunch of emails, and all the emails we had that were related to Swarm Arrow. We have to do that very quickly, within 72 hours usually, so we have to get it out and get it done and get it to them, and that's what we did.
The city maintains it provided the records Swedenberg asked for.
They did not ask for NDAs. They asked us for all communications with this company.
Walker says the dispute is about more than the agreements themselves. She argues residents shouldn't have to know a specific document exists before requesting public records.
It is not the citizen's duty to know where the city keeps their records or who in the city keeps what records. Once he made the inquiry, it was the city's duty to route the inquiry to the correct department, and they didn't do that here.
Later in the afternoon, Mayor Molly Ron announced future non-disclosure agreements will require approval from both the mayor and the city attorney and must be kept on file for at least 5 years. Tuesday night, some residents brought similar worries to City Hall during a council meeting on proposed data center regulations.
We're concerned that certain council members or city officials that have signed NDAs before with Swarm Arrow could have signed them with an AI data company.
The judge is expected to issue a written ruling in the case within 24 hours. In Fayetteville, covering news where you live, Taylor Howard, 5 News.
The City Council did approve new regulations for data centers tonight. Future data center projects will now be required to get a conditional use permit, and that allows the Planning Commission to weigh potential environmental factors coming from the data center more closely. Data centers would also have to provide reports on water usage, electricity demand, and other community impacts. Again, we don't know of any proposed data center projects in the city, but council members said the new regulations will help get them ahead as more facilities are being built nationwide. New rules over how homeschool families can spend money in their education freedom accounts will soon head to Arkansas lawmakers for approval. Maya Ellison heard from the advocates worried the freedom part of those so-called vouchers is getting limited.
Students would be able to use public funds to attend a private school or be enrolled in a homeschool.
That's the foundation of the state's Educational Freedom Account program. But on Monday, proposed policy changes brought parents and advocates like Family Council President Jerry Cox to the Capitol. Cox points out the issue: new sports restrictions, pre-approval requirements, and a dramatic cut to year-to-year rollover funds.
With our agreement as homeschool representative, passed a law that says you can use no more than 25% of your Education Freedom Account funds for extracurricular activities.
The Arkansas Department of Education clarified that funds will only cover leagues that do not exclude kids based on ability during Monday's administrative rules meeting.
If they are one of the more elite sports teams that not every student who tries out makes it, then that is prohibited from using EFA funds.
But Cox tells me parents, especially in rural areas, argue almost all sports have some level of tryouts. Cox says while participation is high, families say intense delays from the program's vendor, Class Wallet, are creating unjust financial burdens.
Here's the problem. What used to take 2 to 3 weeks in reimbursement process is now, we're being told, takes 2 to 3 months.
Now for Tiffany, she tells me her children are not homeschooled, but she still has questions of what changes are in place. Similar comments Cox knows all too well.
They ask for definitions of terms like co-curricular course, and it talks about STEM background programs.
Cox tells me hundreds of written complaints were submitted, but the Department of Education largely dismissed them, responding, quote, "comment considered, no changes made."
I think the Department of Education is making a good effort. We would have liked to have seen the committee send the rules back to the department and say, sit down with the stakeholders, work all this out, and bring the rules back when you've made some sort of an agreement.
That was Maya Ellison reporting. Now, those final rules will go before the full Legislative Council on Friday, and if they're approved, the earliest they will go into effect is next month.